Welcome to Who's Your Neighbor? I'm Terry McGill, your host this evening, and I'm going to be coming to you from Portland, Oregon. Our guest will be coming to you from somewhere outside of Seattle, up in the mountains where there's snow on the ground. And I am really excited. I usually am with these Wednesday night Who's Your Neighbor programs because the people are just fascinating. Tonight is Lorelei Shemayo, and she is an intuitive eye reader. And it's like, excuse me, what? I want to know more about this. Not only that, but she uses that ability, the science of, the skill with, as a matchmaker. So if you're interested in making a match or making yours better, we'll ask her about that. So let's welcome Lorelei to Who's Your Neighbor? Hello.
Hi, Terry.
I am just really excited about tonight because I love learning more. And you have number one, I didn't know there was anything such as I knew about the science of, the parts of your eyes and areas and meaning things, but I've never heard of an eye reader. And
Well,
Matchmaker, I can remember one of my most favorite movies, right up there at the top, along with Sound of Music, was Fiddler on the Roof. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. I won't do that anymore. So tell me, how do you do eye readings?
well, maybe I first want to say that really we all read eyes all the time, and we're all matching ourselves based on eyes, and we simply don't realize. So, a way that everyone can get a sense of that is if they imagine, right? When you've seen someone with dark sunglasses and you can't see their eyes, there's so much missing. And as soon as you see someone's eyes, there's so much there, where we all pick up so much about each other through our eyes all the time. Right? So, I'm doing what we all do. I just use a set of archetypes to describe what it is that we see. So I'm looking at things like, is the energy coming out of people's eyes? Are their eyes pulling more of the energy in? Do their eyes move? If they move, do they move angularly? Or do they move in swirling patterns? Are their eyes not moving at all? Right? If the energy is coming out of the eyes, is it moving out kind of outwards? Are their eyes directed outwards, or are their eyes directed inwards? So there are all kinds of patterns like that. Are the eyes focused? Are the eyes more diffuse in how they look? So there are all kinds of things like that I'm looking at.
So this is way past, boy, they look really spaced out.
Right. And one of the, I look at people's natural talents, what they naturally contribute. And something that comes along with being spaced out usually is a lot of creativity and innovation, sensitivity to energy and pleasure. So spaced out is just one of the characteristics of how people show up and what they contribute. By being, more spaced out, they're exploring the edges of what exists and bringing in new ideas and experiences in for everyone.
And that probably gives you a sense of how I was raised up, as if you're not paying attention, you're not doing well.
Right. And interestingly, our culture here in the US was very against that for a long time. And then, of course, more and more kids were born that have that. And you're in Portland, and Portland is one of the hubs in the US for people that have that characteristic.
Which one?
I call it artisan talent. It's about freedom, creativity, pleasure, and energy. And there's so many people that have that in Portland, Oregon, in particular. And just so many more people have that now than used to, maybe like 50 years ago.
I knew I was going to be fascinated, but I'm learning more than I thought I would. So there's distributions of creativity, creative people in different cities around the world.
Yeah, and part of it may just be we're attracted to, whatever people value different things, and it tends to attract more people that value those things, and so we tend to find each other.
I know that Portland is called a heart center. In fact, I had a very unusual experience on Mount Tabor once. I didn't know that it used to be a volcano, and I acquired the information. I don't know how to say it. The information came to me that it was a direct connection to Mother Earth's heart, and
Yeah. I know Portland once did acupuncture on different points in the city, and Mount Tabor is one of the places where a needle was put, a very big needle. So special energy on Mount Tabor. Yeah. I feel fortunate. I used to live just a few blocks away.
So you use your intuition, background training, and the science of eye reading to help you make matches?
I do, yeah. So I've used my science background. I'm so good at noticing details, and I've kind of memorized all these patterns, and I've seen so many eyes that it's a combination of looking for those specific things and just, right, from wherever the information appears, I'm able to read people. And then there are certain types of patterns that we're typically in for romantic matches. Typically, we're all navigating attraction to people like our family of origin, people that are different than us. And I think that comes from where we don't love ourselves so much, when we don't like who we are. When we see someone similar, because we all read eyes, we don't like the people that are similar. And the only people left are those who are different. And then usually we choose someone like a parent that can see us and get us better than our parents ever could. So I think it's hard to be with people that are so different, unlike our parents.
So
And I think that
when you're doing matchmaking, what is it you look for? What are the parameters, character? Well, you tell me.
Yeah, well, so I'm usually helping people find others that are similar to them, where people haven't realized that over and over again they've been attracted to the same kinds of eyes, and the eyes that actually are the hardest for them to be with. So I help people realize that and feel into the pain that underlies that. And then I help them find others that are more similar to them, people with similar eyes, similar souls, like eyes are a window to the soul. They're also the window to our soulmates. And I help them, for example, in conscious online dating, I help them write a profile and choose photos or take new photos that share who they really are, as is expressed through their eyes, as is expressed through their soul. And then online dating is a great place where I can see lots of photos of other people. So I can easily screen through sometimes hundreds of photos to find people that have eyes that are similar.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned a bit ago, let's see, what was it? That we usually look for people that are different from us because we don't love ourselves in
Right.
general.
Right.
But you're saying that it's helpful to match, to find people who are like us?
I do. I think it makes for a more fulfilling and an easier relationship. We like the same things, we do things in the same way. We get pulled together very deeply, very quickly. And the more we love ourselves, the more we love them because they're like us. And the more we love them, the more we love ourselves too because we're like them. And so it helps both people grow to be more true to who they are, to express their purpose. So really, I want people to grow. And the way I do that is through matchmaking.
This is just opening up so much for me. It's like, wow. Could you share with us your experience with different the different groups of people, perhaps? You were talking about archetypes. Would that be like different?
Yeah, so I use archetypes that I call thrive types, like archetypes for thriving, to describe who people are. And the kinds of things that I look at are someone's natural talents, so that most directly connects with their purpose. I also look at their pacing, the speed at which they integrate and share and move in the world, how they make decisions, how they communicate, what motivates them, how they protect themselves, and I look at consciousness or worldview. So I look at all those characteristics. And when I'm matching people, I want to find people that are similar worldview, so generally similar in terms of their growth. And then there's another trait, the defense, that I look for some similarity. It doesn't have to match, but some similarity, because that can cause all kinds of problems when it's very different, sort of like attachment styles. And then I look for
Say
talent.
that last part again, please.
Like attachment styles.
Oh, would you say more about that?
Well, I look for people that are similar enough so that when they have opposite styles, whenever there's a small problem, it grows into like a great big problem very quickly if they're very different. So I just look for some similarity. Yeah.
So that's you term that as an attachment style?
Yeah,
I've
it's
never heard
just,
the term before. I'm just wanting to understand it.
I think that I mean, I know of it in general. I don't know the specific categories of it, but some people are more likely to want to connect. Some people are more likely to want space. And the traits that I look at, some people are more likely to want things planned and organized and neat, and others focus on the relationship and they prefer things to be a bit messy and not face conflict. So it's facing conflict or avoiding conflict. And when those are very different, that causes all kinds of problems and gets worse and worse.
Interesting.
So I like to find two neat people or two spontaneous people. And then one of the most important traits I look at to match are the talents. Those are the traits that are most directly connected to our purpose.
The talents?
Talents. There are 7 of them, and I describe each person as having 3. And one of them is the artisan talent that I mentioned is so common in Portland. So I can say a bit about the 7 talents. So one is the artisan. It's about freedom, creativity, pleasure, and energy. One is about love and intimacy and deep connection. That's called server. That's about honoring all life and experiencing feelings in the moment. Another's called priest or priestess. It's about inspiration, vision, passion, motivation. It's about using emotions to pull things from where they are to where they could be. And then sage is about community, communication, playfulness, and fun. They're the ones that are about like the dance of people connected together. And yeah, you've got a little of that. It's great the way you light up as I talk about it. To me, you do. And then 2 are about action. One is rare. It's called Queen or King. It's about seeing a great big opportunity to take action, often that builds a new paradigm, and they direct others to take action. And then warrior is the one that takes action themselves. They're often behind the scenes getting everything done. So people don't see them as often, but there are a lot of them out there. They're about efficiency, effectiveness, grounding, and practicality.
Did you say that's called warrior?
Warrior, yeah. And then scholar is the 7th one. It's about absorbing information to build knowledge, create a map, and share knowledge from that map. And they all have growth lessons too.
So
people have 3.
So there's 7 of these archetypes.
Yes.
If you don't mind sharing, what are your top 3?
Sure. I have scholar and warrior and sage. The order matters. The first one is the one that I love to match the most when I match people. And I'm dating someone that has scholar and warrior and priest. So scholar is about absorbing information to build knowledge. So I'm always helping people understand. Sage, as I mentioned, is about community. I run all kinds of community events. And also sage sees patterns well. So I'm seeing patterns in people all the time. And then warrior, I'm grounded and practical. I'm all about practical applications like matchmaking, or a practical way to grow is to do it through dating. And then I also running all these events. It's a very, I'm holding the space really for all sorts of other people to share their work too.
You are fascinating. I'm sitting here and I'm going, wow, this is really a whole new awareness level for me.
I know I love the idea of how we know the phrase eyes are a window to the soul. And then there's just so many ways we know that intuitively and we engage each other that way. And at the same time, there's so much of it that we generally haven't seen and we haven't made use of in the way that we could.
So when people would like to explore the matchmaking and having some assistance with that, they can send you an email?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can send me an email. I do a 20-minute complimentary session with people.
Oh, that's nice to know.
Web, and I have a conscious online dating guide, give people some tips. Yeah.
So our producer just posted your email, Lorelei at thrivetypes.com, and she'll put that into the chat room so it'll be there so that people can reference it if they're just scrolling through and I say, well, what's this about? Let me go to the website.
Yeah.
Actually, that's your email. Yeah.
It's my website too, thrivetypes.com. Yeah.
Well, that makes it easy.
Yep.
So
Mm.
in a 20-minute complimentary session, what do you offer? What can you do in 20 minutes?
Well, I can do a lot. I mean, when I look at someone, I often like bing, in maybe a minute or so, maybe sometimes it's only a few seconds. I can usually see a lot in someone. So in that time together, I have a chance to talk with them about why they're interested. And I often let them show me some photos, maybe of someone they're dating or an ex. And I talk a little bit about them and a little of what I see and that person they've dated and likely what that person is like. So they even get a sense of how much I see in just a photo. I talk about my model, some of the different archetypes, and give people a sense of what it is and what we might do together.
I met you in person, I think, for the first time at a me-we group, metaphysics and wellness, just recently. And I'll just share with you, I was very impressed with, you just had all the details together. You had people there helping you, and you were directing them on how to do this and where to find that, and you looked like you were everywhere at once.
It's kind of wild because I run the MeWe fairs, so I'm running the fair and I hire assistants and I'm sharing my work at the same time. So attempting to help all the practitioners get all settled and all the public come in, and sharing my work and ensuring that the staff that's working for me knows what's happening. Yeah, it can be a lot. So
It looked to me like it was a lot, and I was just really impressed.
well, thank you. I love being all together, and I'm thrilled that we're able to get back together again.
So yeah, that was the first. Well, I can't say after COVID, because with the Omicron that's just hit,
Right.
which is evidently a lot more powerful than COVID-19 and the what was it, Delta variant?
Well, fortunately,
From
it
what
looks
I'm
like,
hearing anyway.
at the moment it's spreading more rapidly and maybe further, but hopefully it's not causing more illness.
So that was the first live event that I've been at for probably 18 months.
Right. It was the first one I hosted since the beginning. Yeah, I think the second to last one I held was in Portland, and then the first one opening again was in Portland.
Yeah, I remember several of the groups that I work with were at the last one that you did in Portland, and they said, we didn't have time to breathe. It was back to back, stacked up people.
It was amazing, even though there were fewer of us practitioners, fewer booths and vendors, and fewer people that attended. Everyone really wanted to be there, and people were so busy. It was amazing.
So people can find out about you and matchmaking by going to either your website or emailing you. And you were mentioning it when you have the 20-minute consultations, the free ones, complimentary, that you're viewing them, so they must be video.
They are, yes. I meet with people by video all the time. I've been doing that for many
I mean, that
years.
may seem obvious, but I just wanted to connect the dots in my own head.
Yeah, and I share some of my handouts with people, my slides. So it's, as you've heard me share about it, there are a lot of different archetypes. So I want people to have different ways of accessing that, to understand and know they'll have materials to refer to.
So if they want to browse your website, they'll pick up more information about this.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Thrivetypes.com. I talk about all the different archetypes that I have, and I have a page dedicated to my matchmaking work.
Wonderful. Is there anything there about MeWe?
Not on that website. However, mewefairs.com is its own website. That's MEWEFAIRS.com. I've started doing online fairs about a year before COVID happened. So I already was getting set up to do online fairs, and then finally everyone got online. So the online fairs have been growing. And in addition to that, I now have panels online where we answer questions from the audience. We have learning circles, practice circles, training panels, all kinds of different things. We've opened things up as more people are online and more people are interested.
Wow. You're busy as I am. And I
Yeah.
can't keep it all together. I'm not as organized as you are.
So,
Do my eyes tell you that?
well, it makes sense to me that you would be interested in a lot of different things. You might have that artisan talent yourself. How does that sound to you? Freedom, creativity, pleasure, and energy?
Well, what immediately came to my mind was I designed, built, and flew radio control model airplanes for about 30 years.
Yeah.
Um,
People with artisan are often inventors. I'm imagining the three talents that you might have. I'm not sure of the order are artisan and scholar and sage. So artisan and scholar together is often an inventor of new ideas and then also technology together. So model airplanes, it has some technology and then elegance and beauty and
and in addition, my major passion was some of us, a small group, flew them off water. So they were seaplanes. Well, technically, they were either float planes, which is a land airplane that you put floats under, or some of them were flying boats. And yeah, it's amazing. I think about it. I spent 800 hours building one.
Wow, such patience too.
Yeah, it took 3 years. It was the most complex thing that I've ever done. Yeah.
Did you
But
did you
looking
always
back
choose
to you,
planes?
pardon?
I just, so how much did you choose planes that were beautiful and how much that they had function that you were really interested in?
For me, functionality comes first. And the beauty for me, I was up at 6 a.m. one day on a reservoir on the backside of Mount Hood, and it was so calm. And the most beautiful thing for me was watching this rather ugly airplane that I was flying. I mean, it was not a beautiful airplane, but it would come down and it would kiss the water with the floats, not settling in, keeping speed up. So it was skimming across the water and then it would take off again. I would make it take off again. So
So the
control,
beauty. Mhm.
I noticed one thing about that was I was really into control. And you have to be. I don't fly anymore because I had several concussions, and you have to hold your focus on that airplane, because if you lose your focus, crunch. Um,
It sounds
and
like it was probably a meditation for you, even though it wasn't set up to be that.
it was, I didn't understand that, and as soon as you said it, it was like, why didn't I realize that? Yeah.
I used to throw pottery and I didn't realize until many years later that it really was a meditation. Right? Everything else would disappear and I'm so focused on the tiniest details and such hyper awareness of my body to make the shape that I want.
Yeah. I've watched potters. It's like, wow. It was like watching Yo-Yo Ma play the cello. I saw him in person when he was in Portland once. He closed his eyes, and he's playing this rather complex piece with his eyes closed, and I made a mistake. Out loud, I said, I forget what the words were, but they were loud enough that my wife said, "Shh," because I was interrupting other people's enjoyment. But I was just totally amazed. I'd never seen anybody that could do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He
what
has artisan
kind
too.
is that the artistic trait?
That's artisan too. Yeah. So there's all the
Artist.
different senses, like hyper awareness of all the different senses. And so yeah, he's connected in so many ways to what he's doing.
How many years have you been studying eyes?
Oh, a little over 15 years. And it's really been like my full-time passion for so long. So I enjoy talking about you. I just love people. I enjoy discovering people and all the nuances of who people are shows up.
Well, I enjoy discovering people too, and I didn't realize how much until we started hosting these Who's Your Neighbor shows. And those of you you're number 8, and those of you who show up just fascinate me. I mean, we knew ahead of time that you were, I call it undiscovered genius. You're really, old phrase, right? Salt of the earth. You're all you individually, but you as a part of the group. When COVID hit, I realized, as I began reading more and more about the problems that people were having because they were shut up with others who weren't somebody you wanted to be shut up with. So there was more abuse, more alcohol use, and then drug use increased. And I realized the importance of communication, but more than that, communication where we can really connect. Now, you and I are connecting, to me, admirably, given that we're miles apart. But were we in person, there would be a completely different facet to it. I know the Heart Math Institute. Are you familiar with them? Yeah,
I am, yes.
Yeah, Doc Childers and his wife and the group have done research for 25, 26 years. They've even developed a course now to teach people to go out and teach people how to connect more with their heart. And so I know, you remember the first thing I saw was the heart field is 5,000 times stronger than the mind field. And I went, I don't believe it. No, I didn't, because I believed I had to have the mind to survive. But the more that I did I can't really call web research. I mean, that's not really research, but the more I read, the more I saw that concept replicated, and other people were doing similar studies. And then I got more involved in that kind of stuff. So when we're close together, our heart fields are more connected because we're close enough that we can feel that effect with one another. A physicist, Dr. Rulin Shu, has been doing some research and has co-written 2 books with Dr. and Master Zhigang Sha about, they title them Tao Science, the science of Tao. And from a physicist, I mean, she's a real life physicist. When she talks math, I'm lost, but she breaks it down, and there's a term that I love, quantum entanglement. So at the heart level, we have to be within a certain number of feet or meters. For the rest of the world, we talk about feet in the United States. Everybody else is going, those are where you wear your shoes. We talk about meters. But in physics, we're quantum entangled with everyone, everywhere, all the time, although there's no time or space. So, I can feel the degree of quantum entanglement that we have right now, and did this morning on our call when we were talking about what we would talk about tonight. And I'm just so glad to have you as a guest here. So over in the chat room, all the viewers live or in the future can find out how to get a hold of Lorelei. Go to her website, which is Thrive Types. Is that hyphenated?
It's not thrivetypes.com.
Just go to www if you need that with your computer. I don't think you need it anymore. Thrive, there it is. So it's the last part of her email address. Ignore the Lorelei at, that would be email, and go to thrivetypes.com. You can also send her a text at the number on the screen and in the chat room. But my experience, because I love going to people's websites and finding out more perspective on them before we have the show. And I just I was just realizing I spent more time than I should have that day because I had tasks that got put off. But Lorelei, I thank you for spending the time early this morning and now, and I know I'll see you around again.
Thank you so much, Terry. It's been lovely being here.
Thank you so much. And for our listeners, watchers, both, we were speaking a bit, very briefly, about something called, the correct term for it is Tao Healing Hands. And it is an energy transmission. I call it a blessing when I offer it. And if you're not familiar with it, our producer is going to put the link where you can get if you'd like, you can have a free 10-minute, there it is. I call it the MailChimp link. It's an introduction to Tao Hands. When you go there, there's a banner at the top, says something about Tao Hands. Right under it, it's experience an instantaneously experience a free Tao Hands blessing. So it's by a very powerful healer. He's at least 2 levels above where I am. It's 10 minutes, which is a good length of time, and it will give you the ability to have an experience free. And there's also videos and links to more information about if you would like to become a Tao Hands practitioner, for example. You can use Tao Hands to heal yourself. I mentioned several concussions, and I have regained so much mental functioning, not the ability to focus and fly the model airplanes. That hasn't come back yet, but it could. And there's so much else that has come back. It's like I go into almost ecstasy at times from the little things. It's like, wow, I just remembered somebody's name from 40 years ago and the incident. Some were good, some I wouldn't want to repeat, but I remembered them. So whether it's memory, finances, relationships, literally, you name it, any physical condition, including hearing. Do you have tinnitus? Some people call it tinnitus. I used to. The doctor says it's tinnitus, and he had a white coat on, so I started calling it tinnitus. Just joking. So you can go to the website and have an experience of Tao Hands. And you can come back next week, and we're going to have another fascinating guest. You will not believe what she does, created, and has run as a not-for-profit organization for 10 years in the Portland area, from a bicycle. Special bicycle, yes. So until next week, who's your neighbor?